Did Virginia get into the meeting yet?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, cool. So let's go ahead and go live then, so we can start talking about this stuff so people can see what's going on. All right,
I'm letting everyone in, okay?
All right.
Meg, we're looking for Justin.
Was he supposed to be on at 6 or 6:30?
6:30.
Can you go find him?
6:30.
Okay, go.
Is there a reason why we need to meet on Zoom now that, because we did this because of COVID? Is there any way we can meet in person again? Or is this?
Have you not been looking at the news? Thank you. Don't do that, Meg. Come on.
I don't live in fear, Virginia.
I don't either, but the Bible does say you need to use wisdom.
Okay. We can be socially distanced though, but okay.
I mean, we can have it at my house. I don't care. It's here. But the problem is you don't know who's going to show up.
Hey, I am. Sorry. Okay, I'm here. Finally, I got my video going and everything. I'm back in the house. I got a mic on, so I can hear everybody. Yeah, as far as in-person meetings, honestly, this kind of seems easier. I've gotten so used to it, but I don't care if we get to it. But right now with North Carolina, that's where we meet because of our meeting hall and everything. I don't even know what North Carolina is doing. They're a lot more restricted than South Carolina. So I don't know. Probably just ride this out for a while longer if everybody else is fine with that for now. Mostly because I can do a meeting while I'm trying to get home from work.
Rob, are you going to chair this one since we don't have technically a president right now?
We got a president.
If you want, I can handle the, I've been trying to, what I've been telling people anytime I have been keeping things going is like, hey, I'm the interim chairman right now because we don't have a president. So if you're okay with me continuing to chair to get the meeting done, I'll do that.
That's fine.
All right. Let's get the officer things done. Everybody, just for anybody who's watching and confused later, I know there's a lot of questions usually pop up about how do the meetings work? What do we do? Board meetings are for the board. The annual meetings for the community. The annual meeting was in July. That was done in person. I was not able to be there. I appreciate you guys getting that done. I know Eric fielded, from what I understand, a lot of questions and was able to keep that meeting going. And I know Virginia handled the basics of it. So thank you. The board that was voted upon, people who are present this evening, Kate Carter, welcome to the board. It's your first year serving on the board. By no means your first time doing anything with us, so obviously. Also, we got returning Eric Barnes, Virginia Pugh, Meg Bowden, myself. I'm Rob Smith. As far as what we're doing tonight, this is an out of schedule meeting, so it's one where we came together and said, hey, we can meet tonight. Let's go ahead and get this done. And that the primary purpose of us meeting this evening is to get our officer positions voted for and elected. The board is voted into existence by the membership, and then the members send us forth to do the things that we're supposed to do. If they don't like the things we do, they can always do a recall and they can get rid of us and replace us if they want to. The board members meet and decide who will be the officers. The officers are the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer. And the duties are pretty vague in our bylaws, so it's pretty simple for the most part. The duties and responsibilities of the president are that's to run the meetings and to sign off on documents, carry out the orders of the board. The vice president's duties to do the job when the president's not available. The secretary's duties include keeping a record of events and communicating with the membership. The treasurer's duties to ensure that there is an audit done and to make sure that the budget flows. Generally speaking, the president has always taken on extra duties of keeping things running throughout the community, running the HOA's website, that kind of stuff. The vice presidents usually kind of helped with all that kind of thing and taking on a bunch of little missions around the community. And then the secretary has historically tried to keep things moving as far as communication. And then the treasurer, instead of just sitting back and saying, hey, somebody take care of this stuff and I'll look at it, has usually between Sydney and then Eric has done the job that I always tell everybody. The most important person on the board is the person who is the treasurer, because that person keeps track of the money as best they can. They make it so that we can understand where our money is going to. They help us predict where our money is going to be over time based off of and in keeping with our, my brain just blanked out, reserve study, which we have done. And then we have refreshed every so often. The treasurer usually keeps track of how much money we've budgeted for different things. So at the beginning of the year, the board comes together and says, hey, we're going to spend $2,000 on this and $1,000 on that. Here's our plan. And then usually we turn to the treasurer and go, hey, how much money do we even have available? And the treasurer is usually the person who goes to that extra effort to know, you guys have $300 left, or you haven't touched this one over here, but you've burnt that one out, that kind of thing. So treasurer is the most important position. It's the one that we really need. So Eric did it last year again. And I always try to say thank you to the treasurer above everybody else. And I thank everybody on the board who served last year. But the treasurer is the most frustrating position. They get beat up at the annual meeting. I'm sorry I wasn't there to help with those questions and to help out with the crowd management, which usually is my forte. So with that said, then we have 5 board members, and we don't even have to take, I mean, our treasurer could be somebody who's not on the board. We have all these different rules we can work off of. So if we had somebody who didn't want to do a specific role, we can double up roles, or we can shift them around. Nobody's stuck being the secretary if they don't want to, or the vice president or the president or whatever. But the board has to decide who's going to fill those positions. And then usually what we end up with is we normally have 4 officers, 4 board members cover those positions. And then there's 1 member at large, and a member at large is just a board member who doesn't have an officer's position. None of the positions have any more authority than anybody else. The president doesn't get to make all the decisions on their own. They have to get votes from the rest of the board, and there's no more power associated with anything. So with that said, who wants to be the treasurer? Because that's the most important role. And Eric, are you willing to take that role on again if you were so nominated, or are you like, I'm done with y'all?
That's fine. I can do it. I've got to deal with Michael and our awesome bank again next week. Apparently they changed our money market accounts interest rate without telling us. So now some of them don't even earn interest because they're using those fees to cover the surety bond. He's like, oh, we could switch you to this. I'm like, well, why the hell didn't we get a notice of that? So we're going to have a fun conversation this week.
Seeing all those words Eric just said, that's why we need to make sure the treasurer is the right person. Not only the fact that he understands what he's talking about and he's willing to go over it, but the fact that he explains it in very small little bite-sized chunks whenever I'm sitting there and I'm rubbing my forehead and I'm like, Eric, if I don't understand what you're saying, people who have no interest in what we're talking about will understand, that he makes sure we get it. So I would nominate Eric for that position, and I would ask the board for a vote. All those in favor of Eric Barnes holding the position of the treasurer for the 2021-2022 season, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion will carry. With that said, the role of the president, let's get that out of the way, because somebody else could take over as chairman right now if they needed to, or I could run the rest of the meeting regardless. Does anybody want to be the president this year?
Didn't you not want to be the president?
I always open it up because I'm like, there might be somebody who's like, I really want to be the president, and I want to open it up. So I'll serve as the president again this year. If I was gonna beg Eric to take it over this year, but I also realized he was going to take the treasurer thing. And then again, I should say congratulations to Eric and his wife Kathy on the birth of their child.
Yeah.
I'll throw that out there. Which has also changed Eric's ability to perform certain duties, but he was very willing to take on the treasurer. I honestly thought we were going to lose you, Eric, as soon as you had the kid.
No, I'm working from home right now still, so it's not too bad.
I swear I thought you were going to be like, you know what, I've done my duty. So, is there anybody, Kate, do you want to run the meetings and handle that kind of stuff? Is that something you're interested in this year? I don't want to just arbitrarily be posted as the president just because we always have.
I was thinking of being the secretary and maybe running like the meeting minutes and all those good things, and maybe working on more of the social media side of the HOA, trying to get things out to people and letting people know about things as soon as possible.
All right. Does anybody else want to take on this? Since we're floating over that one, then does anybody else want to be the secretary?
I vote for Kate.
All right. Well, then, we'll make a motion that Kate Carter be posted to the position of the secretary for the 2021-2022 session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. All right, Virginia, do you want to do the vice president or do you want to be the president? Or Meg, do you want to be the vice president or the president?
I would like Virginia to be the vice president. And I will do whatever she says do. I got you, Virginia. You just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah,
Well,
and I Rob, stop playing. President.
all right, I go through all the steps though. I try really hard. All right, nominate myself for the presidency.
I nominate you for president.
And Virginia for the vice president position for the 2021-2022 session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, so there's your first motions you'll have to document up, Meg, or not Meg, I'm sorry. I got Meg in the brain. So I'm sitting here. Meg, you pop on my screen, so now I'm looking at Meg. Kate. So there's your first motions you'll have to document there, Kate. And I tried to make them real official sounding and play them all the way through for you. The only thing I didn't do for the purposes of a motion, the only other thing I could do is I would post a motion and then I would open the floor to discussion. That would give us an opportunity to argue over the motion. And then if we wanted to amend the motion, we could amend it. And then if we wanted to, and then we could vote on it, that kind of thing. So for your purposes as a secretary, you might have to document, the board agrees to spend $27,000 to fix the pool. And then we argue back and forth and we say, no, we want to make it 30,000. Okay, it's amended to 30,000. And then we open it to discussion and we agree on 30,000 and say, okay, the motion is this. And then we vote for it and that kind of thing. So that's kind of how motions work. If we're following them through officially. Usually, for the most part, we just kind of flow through the board meeting. There's not a lot of motions required back and forth, but if we're stuck on a topic, that's an easy way to do it.
And Kate, these Zoom meetings are recorded, so after the meeting, I get the link to the recording. It's recorded in the cloud, and you can watch it at your leisure, and then take the notes if you wanted to. Then, you know what I mean?
That's a very good idea, because then you're not scrambling to write everything down.
Right.
So as far as extra things we have to take care of this year, Kate, if you're interested in doing more with social media, and if you're interested in doing a little bit with WordPress, maybe learn how the website works, I can start teaching you and giving you access to those things. Every board member can have access to them. They just, generally speaking, nobody's interested in getting into that mess. I think Eric kind of you monitor the Facebook too, don't you, Eric? Just kind of know what's coming through on text messages and stuff. I think the answer is yes.
I have access to that. You normally respond though, so.
Yeah. So Eric's there. He sees things go back and forth. Most of the messages that come through aren't.
Bobs.
Yeah, they're easy stuff. So I handle those. But I can get you set up with access to that stuff, so you can have access to the HOA Facebook page, and we'll kind of work in on that. We've also got, what's going on with the townhome committee? Are you still running a townhome committee at this point? Is there somebody new taking over and you're going to have that separate from the board? What's your plans with that or thoughts?
Well, right now, I'm still head of the townhome committee. Shelby is still on the committee, and Mary Wallace volunteered to be on the committee as well. So she owns a townhome here, and she also owns a house back in the Glen. And together, I'm hoping that we can still keep the committee going and address some of the issues that still need to be addressed here. So, and getting that feedback, I think, from people that are not on the board also helps.
Yeah, maybe if you can, at some point, I know you wanted to run like a 3-person committee there. Maybe at some point you can recruit in somebody who wants to kind of take that over and separate it away from you, so that it's a committee floating on its own and kind of can feed back directly to the board and kind of keep it the way you started it. That'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you got it still running. I know we lost, and I didn't get a chance to mention it really because I wasn't at the annual meeting. We lost Craig Bates. He passed away this last year. So for anybody who didn't know that, he was serving on the townhome committee. And I believe, did his wife move?
No, she's still here, but she's not sure if she's going to move yet.
Keep her in mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got that. I'd like to still work on the pool stuff. I kind of want to shift a little more effort into the pool too, as far as some plans for it. So if everybody's okay with it, I'd like to kind of stay running what we do with the pool.
We've got Justin at 6:30, so we need to honor that.
Keeping my eye on that. Is he in the lobby?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. All right, might be able to get him in a few minutes early then. So I'd like to keep running the pool stuff if everybody's okay with that. I think the only other thing we need to make sure of is landscaping. So how do you guys want to handle landscaping this year? Do you want to, I think we need like a key point of contact with him and almost like a committee of you guys to like continue to ride them, because unfortunately our landscapers always need people watching them hard.
I think that's what made it difficult, is that like Eric had him do this stuff over here, and then me and Virginia are kind of on him about this other stuff, and then you're talking to him, and
yeah, he reaches out to me, and I try to like funnel him back because it's too many people, and I know that. I'm like, I know you're supposed to.
So Eric, when I spoke to him, he's like, "Everything's wrong," and it was just like I could tell by his tone this is not up for discussion again. And I'm like, okay, we have to, we got to move forward at this.
Who wants to be the point person with Justin from here till the next year, where he doesn't get a call anybody else? Everything, like if I need him to do a project, it goes to that person, and that person, whether it's me or one of you two, is the only person that talks to him. Not even both of you. Just one person is the only person he talks to, so he can't whine about, I've had to talk to 3 people, because then he makes excuses for shit not getting done.
Yeah, I get it.
Can I make a suggestion that's going to be a little bit out of the box on that? I wonder if Kate would be willing to take on being the point person for that. I know you and Virginia, I don't think either of you did a bad job at it, but if she's got I don't know what your time frame's like and everything, Kate, but a lot of the landscaping stuff is over there anyways in the townhomes. And if she's got the ability to be a new person that he has to deal with directly, it might be good for us, because he's used to trying to talk to me. He's used to trying to talk to you guys. And I think you guys can all still work together on it. I would suggest that. But my suggestion would be if she's got the ability and time, and Kate, you may be like, I just don't have time for that. But
I do have the time. I'm okay with that, because you're right. Most of the landscaping is over here, and I can see if they've done it or not.
And Kate, what I would love to do too is I love, you and I can come up with a punch list, or Virginia and I can come up with a punch list, and we give it to you, or, so
yay.
But we have to all agree.
I agree.
Right now, no one talks to Justin but Kate.
I agree. Take me off the chat today.
Well, let's get him in here. Let him meet his new person.
Yes.
I agree. I agree. So
Hey,
that solves that.
Can you show your face?
Well, unfortunately, I'm sick, so
Oh, okay.
I'm not looking fabulous right now.
He can meet you in person at some
He
point.
can meet
but we
you
can
in person.
Start with
Hallelujah.
a voice.
Yeah.
And Kate, I'll get you the contract and all that, so you'll have it all in front of you.
Oh, that'd be great.
But I do suggest that Rob or someone stays like in the chat with you guys. No,
I think you guys having the reins on is good. What I like to know from Justin is what's going on so I can update the neighborhood on it. But if Kate's going to get more involved in social media, it kind of play together. So she'll be able to tell people in the neighborhood, because I told Justin early on, if you don't tell us you mowed the grass and you put down the spray, it doesn't matter that you did it because nobody knows it happened.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's bring him in and we'll kind of get him started here, and we'll try not to be too crazy beating up on anybody. But
okay, he's coming.
Okay, easy does it.
Hey,
I
Jeff.
didn't say hi to Ashley. I'm sorry. Hi, Ashley.
He's connecting to audio.
There he is. There you go. Hey.
You muted, Justin. You made the ultimate error that everybody with Zoom makes. Now he's got to find the unmute button.
There we go.
Hey, there it is. What's going on, man? How are you?
How are y'all?
Hey.
Good. Welcome. Thanks for being here with us tonight. We'll try to be respectful of your time here and jump right in. So there's good things, there's bad things, there's a mix of things, and there's some things we're going to kind of change to kind of make it flow better. I don't think you and I have ever met in person. I'm Rob.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I think we just talked on the phone. So nice to meet you in person. Well, somewhat in person here.
Rick says hello. He told me to tell you hello.
Excellent. I do know Rick. I don't think I've ever pulled him over, but we've come in contact with each other on the road. So what we're going to do, we want to kind of hit some, and I think, Meg, if you got like a punch list of some things you want to go through that concerns, and I mean, we'll start off with a positive. We'll do the manager sandwich here. The positives are that the community does seem to, on an overall scale, it seems like it's looking better. From a high level position, I can tell you, I don't get nearly as many complaints as I used to get. So okay, I think we're moving in the right direction, and I think everybody should keep in mind with landscaping, you don't come in and put a new company in place and they start mowing the grass, and the next week everything looks Disney. So I think we all should keep in mind, like, we should have an expectation, and if we're confused on the expectation, then we should go back to somebody and say, hey, why does it not do this? Why does it not do that? And then get some feedback. So we'll kind of go through. I'll let Meg, if you're prepared, I'll let Meg kind of run through stuff with you that she's positive, negative, stuff like that. And perfect. We'll go from there.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
So the irrigation valves that are still sticking up, when we paid to have those repaired, was that the ones that are still sticking up, we didn't get charged for those, did we? Like,
no. So you're talking about the ones coming from the clubhouse exiting, the ones that stay standing up. Right. No, those weren't replaced. Those are aging, of course, and that's why those springs aren't pulling it all the way back down.
Right.
But I didn't charge you for all those head replacements because
it
was more of an upgrade rather than a repair per se. They're aging, of course. We should upgrade them down the road, but that's probably 30 heads that we need to replace, and that would be a bigger cost. So whenever I need to get you a cost for that, so you guys can plan for it for sure. And I'll make a note to do that. So maybe you can plan for it in 2022. We can plan to go through and replace all those heads and get new guts inside of them. So I'll get you a cost on that.
And you said approximately 30?
Yeah, roughly. That's just me ballparking off the top of my head. So just kind of picturing the island. So I'll get you a firm quote and number on that.
Is there any way just during the winter months they can be squished back down manually?
Yes. So in the winter, once
Okay.
the system is off, they'll stay down because they'll never have a
Okay.
reason to come up. It's the inside the springs and stuff, there's just not, they're aged, so they don't pull themselves back down. When the water stops, it doesn't come back down with them.
Okay.
So
Cool. Rob, I had a question for you. Around the pool in the parking lot towards the back, there's this drainage ditch that wasn't clear to me in Virginia. Who's in charge of that drainage ditch full of rocks? It looks like it's a project that it wasn't finished.
That's where Eric and I went up there and pulled out a bunch of rocks and started cleaning that out, trying to get it kind of back to where, because what you would get is you would get a flood of water that would kind of turn into its own little swimming pool there in the parking lot. And it's because that's over time, you got your drainage area and you got your rocks that are supposed to help kind of keep everything flowing. Over time, the sediment builds up and buries the rocks, and you build up a pool instead of a flow. So Eric and I went over there and started really, pickaxing and everything to get all those rocks out and toss them off the side. And then we reached the point where we were like, we did everything we could to clear it, but it really needs to be a project that we need to actually get somebody in there with a backhoe. They got to clean that out real good, kind of make it a ditch again, and then re-rock it. We had the same thing at the front by the townhomes in that area that I think we were trying to get some quotes on it, but that's one of those areas that we need. We've got 2 areas that are rocks that they need to be dug back out, cleared, re-rocked, and turn into a nice drainage area. But those are ours. Just that's why they are the way it is.
Do we want US Lawns to quote that? Justin, can y'all do a project like that?
yeah, absolutely. Where's the second one located at? I know the one's in the clubhouse parking lot.
It's at the front, and we can get you a map to show you where it is. And I guess the answer to that question is it depends on how you guys feel about US Lawns doing projects. I know we had the issue, and I know it's one of the issues we're going to talk about, the wall issue, where it became this convoluted back and forth trying to figure it out. So I'll leave that to you to keep working on, May.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's an easy one. You either do it or you don't. I think that would be sort of an easier one to manage.
Rob said it pretty simply. All you do is move all the rocks out of the way, dig out all the silt, and then put all the rocks back. And if you need a few extra new rocks, you throw them in there, and it's done. So it flows for a while, and you just watch it, and it lasts 3 to 5 years, and it builds back up, and you do it again. So
okay,
I get you a quote on that. Should be pretty cheap.
Okay, I had that on, and
Justin, does that be at a certain angle? I know when I talked to a person in the neighborhood that does construction projects, he said they would need to get someone out to actually plane it and get the angle right and then put it back in. It'd be too much of a bother building it.
Serious. I would obviously from parking lot to rock needs to have a little bit of drop so the water falls, and then from rock to end of rock has to have just a slight angle so that it can run and then run through the grass and all the way down the ditch. So I don't know that it needs to be plain necessarily, as long as the parking lot is already graded to carry the water that way, which it obviously is. If it's building up silt, water's going to flow downhill. So
yeah, that was the easy one. You'll have to check out the one out front. So it's a little bit longer. It'll be a little bit more tedious.
Is that the one that's in between the common area and the townhomes? It's kind of going.
Yes, like near the townhome Caprington entrance over that way, like in between the 2 entrances.
Right before the big wall and the fence starts with all shrouds above the fence.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. I know where that's at.
I know the last time Virginia and I walked around, we still saw a lot of dead shrubs, and in the townhouses.
Okay.
And we definitely felt like those needed to come up. I don't know which ones need to be replaced with something living, or so that we definitely need to do a walk around.
Well, we did walk around, and we picked out each one that was supposed to be removed.
But then Justin's team came back in after that.
Who?
And did work, and we didn't walk around after that.
No, we walked around and we told each one that need to be removed. We did that already. So you're gonna have to do it again, I guess.
Yeah, because I think when we did that last time, that was like right when we started in 2020. Was it 20? Yeah, last year. So we walked around and we plucked a lot of them just because they were completely dead. We just kind of got them out of the way. So I don't think we came in with any replacements. It was just dead removal, skin out of the way.
But remember,
There were a lot still
yeah,
there.
yeah. We did a walk this year. We did a walk. Y'all guys don't remember?
We did, but they were there like, gosh, what were they doing? Y'all were there doing, I almost want to say putting more straw down. Did you put more straw down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was after the straw.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can walk. Yeah, let's walk again. Let's look and see what else is out there.
Walk again, and there's some new
Plan
changes.
to see. Yeah, absolutely. Plan to see what we need to replace,
Yeah,
what we
because
don't.
we wrote them all down, and it was
Right.
probably 10 to 15.
Okay.
So I know you've got.
Meg, do you want to borrow? I have a bunch of like blue flags. You guys can just flag them if you want to walk and just plan out when you can have it with Kate, since she's going to be over as the point person.
And we need to introduce Kate also, because she's going to be, I'm jumping off Justin with landscaping, and it's going to be Meg and Kate. Kate is the new member of the HOA board, and she's also the secretary of the HOA board, and she's also going to be your one-on-one point of contact. Like, she's going to be the one that's going to be contacting you. Not Rob.
Nope.
Oh, everything.
For everything. That's her. She's the one. Nobody else. That's her. So
and we're going to do some test stuff to you, and we're going to expect you to be like, nope, I'm just talking to Kate.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So if I call you and say, Justin, I need you to come over here and cut my grass, you're going to be like, no.
Yeah.
I need to talk to Kate. Run that through Kate. Okay?
So I'm sure, planting new shrubs would need to be done like in October.
Correct.
Right. So I don't know if we pull them up now or we just do all this in October,
Sure. Let's see how many they are. If the pulling isn't too bad, we can go ahead and get them out of the way so they're, dead. Once they're gone, it's not an eyesore anymore. And then we can just plan to replace in the fall.
And then I would like to suggest that pine needles be done before December.
Okay.
Don't y'all agree? Do y'all agree with that? I remember last year it was way too late. It felt like.
The biggest thing is the leaves. So as long as we can get a good amount of leaves,
we had to wait for the leaves
before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait. Last year, and I can help out with that because Justin was communicating, because I was asking what's going on with it last year, and I remember we were talking about the leaves being down. Remember, we get leaves fall. Then you put down pine needles, and then the final ones fall. So you got to wait till all the leaves are down, which goes along with us, and then you're pretty close to holiday season at that point. And if they go out there and throw all the pine needles down and make it look beautiful, and then 4 weeks later it's Christmas time and everybody's
I just thought we were all pretty upset about that last year. So if we weren't.
No. What happened is, let me tell you what happened. We had to wait a long time for the leaves, but then we had to wait for the straw to come in. So it was a late time. Yeah, we were upset about it because we didn't know at the particular time that so we had to wait till the leaves fall, all the leaves fall. And then when we did, it was still behind schedule. So we still had to wait another 2 or 3 weeks out before they could get us on the schedule. Is that
correct? I think the goal, and you guys tell me if you agree with this, I think the goal this year would be to get as many leaves up and cleaned up as possible right before Christmas, and then get pine straw before Christmas. I think Thanksgiving, you're still too much in the leaf season to really put it down, but I think Christmas would be a good goal. And you guys tell me if you agree or disagree with that.
I agree. It was just that it took the leaves forever to fall last year. I don't know what was going on, but it was so hot. It was still hot, and the leaves weren't turning. So it wasn't, so that's, if we can do that, that'd be great. Well,
another thing that plays into it, one thing I've definitely noticed, another positive for what I've seen, the way we are having pine needles done in the past, every single time we had pine needles, they looked pretty good in the beginning. And then as time went by, they got all out of sorts. I've really noticed that US Lawns has done a very good job of keeping them rolled. They look very nice. And so I think we're getting more longevity out of the looks of those pine needles than we used to. So I think it doesn't look as bad now going into this season as it did last year when we were waiting for US Lawns to get to the point where they could do their first.
And also, Meg, don't forget the front of the pool. What are your plans for landscaping for the front of the pool?
Oh, it's on my list.
Okay.
So So last spring, we had a bunch of dead bushes in front of the pool, like the
Right.
flower beds smack in front of the pool. So because that wasn't in the budget, Rob was kind enough to say, hey, I'll just tie them up to my truncle and yank them out. And then I was like, well, I'll just go to Lowe's and get some lantana, get some, heat thriving flowers and stick them in there. Well,
Sure.
life happened and it's suddenly June. And I'm like, I don't need to be planting plants right now.
Right.
So the good news is we saved money. Rob pulled all the shrubs, but there's nothing there. It's just a terrible.
Yeah, it's just empty right now.
So either I need to get out there in the fall and to save us money, or we need y'all's help in fixing those beds again.
Sure. If I may ask, what dollar amount would I be allowed to use to get you plants in there? And I can just work to that dollar amount with what your budget says this year.
Well, I think our wiggle amount was like 400, wasn't it, Eric?
Yeah, let me pull up the.
Kind of the extra.
Are you going back with shrubs?
I don't
Whatever.
necessarily. I don't.
I mean, keep in mind, Meg, we're coming up on the end of the budget year too. So if Eric's
Right.
looking at dollars and cents here and there,
Because if you're going,
pool money may be there. There might be some money in pool budget that I didn't burn up or something like that. So there might be some.
I suggest you go
there.
back with shrubs like we had last time, because Christmas lights go on there,
Right.
I might not be here when they get full grown.
Yeah. But I would like to just near the corner be a place where there's color,
Right.
So reserve a little bit of space for just your fresh, your super bright, hardy flowers that could go there.
Right.
I'll just I'll put together some ideas and then we can start adjusting those ideas based on price and design and color and all that good stuff.
Okay. So I guess that would be October as well. So
Yes.
cool. And then the flower bed on the entrance of the blah blah blah. The hang on.
Is it the townhomes or the other one?
Townhome. Yeah, the townhome entrance.
Caprington.
Virginia and I there's a spot of like crappy grass on the island, and we
Yes.
wanted that turned into just a bed. So kind of that whole strip be a bed, that whole island.
Right. I think I
Remember?
gave you guys a proposal for changing all that stuff into flowers, but I don't recall. I think I did that, and I'll pull that back up.
And I guess it doesn't have to be flowers. It could be just at least straw.
Yeah, just eliminating that square grass there. Right.
Yeah.
Entrance.
That's all I have, Virginia. Does that sound right?
Yeah, eliminate that square grass, till it up so it'd be dirt. Make sure we have dirt there, and then just
Right. That way the grass doesn't come up through the straw or mulch or
That
nothing.
thing looks awful. And I think we need to talk about Rob behind the gate.
Oh yes, the gas
The
thing.
famous
I saw
behind
the
the
messages about that, and then I saw Rob. You were looking back into it some more, so we'll see.
I'm gonna turn that over to Rob.
Yeah. So the final thing on that. So apparently, it's why we need to go to just one sole person, and why we're picking Kate, because she's brand new this year to the board, but last year she handled big projects, so she's familiar, and that way it makes it easier for you guys. It's too many people, too much, and you don't know where to go half the time. I get it. What we wanted the area behind that fence line trimmed
See it?
all the way back so you can get to back. I guess you can all the way back so you can get to all the gates that are accessible back there. Right now, what we're able to get to is the first gate back there. The second one is the one that they need to be able to get to.
Okay.
If probably what we need to do is get it to the point where you can just drive back through there with one of your mowers or something, just cut through the whole thing. But I don't know what the ditch is like and everything.
Okay.
But
Primarily,
correction,
what we need.
it's the third unit that needs to be accessed, not the second unit.
All right, so let me use specific wording here. There are 3 units from the right. If you come around the right, first unit, there's no back access anyways, doesn't matter. Keep going past that to the first gate. That's where we stop right now. We need to be able to access the third unit, which is the second gate behind the building there.
Okay.
That's why I say the second unit. I'm talking about the second gated unit from
Second
behind.
unit.
The other ones have gates in the front. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm coming from right. What would be good is if we get to the point where we've got it trimmed all the way through and you can just drive through there and just keep the whole thing clear. That way you know it's getting cut as a part of it. But in the immediate, what I need right now, I can't get the gas guy back there, and any day he could just decide, I'm gonna call the fire department.
Go up and yeah, gotcha.
So we just need that, and it's all thorns, so I can't even push through it easily to get back there and open
Right.
the gate. I did confirm there is a gate back there. Talked with the former resident.
Okay. Perfect.
So the faster you can get somebody back there to just trim the snot out of that, the better.
Yep. We'll get on that as soon as we can.
And Justin, when do you think you can get to that? Like when?
I'm gonna have to ask and see if there's room on the schedule for tomorrow, because tomorrow's the last day of the week. But if not, it'll be something early next week. I think the guys have already went for maintenance this week, if I'm not mistaken. If they haven't, then they'll be mowing tomorrow, and I can get them to do it tomorrow. But I think I drove through there today, and it looked like it was already mowed. So
Okay.
Yeah, they came through yesterday and mowed.
yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Do you have more bullet points, Meg, or were you at the end of your bullet points?
No, but I just forgot it.
Well, I was just going to ask in general, what can we do besides sicking Kate on you guys to ensure that everything you guys are supposed to be mowing is getting mowed? Yeah, you've got an area next to one of our board members, Eric, so he looks right out of his house. That doesn't get mowed regularly. You got an area down in the bend on Kilchurn that has always been a problem. I know it's kind of like these little outlier areas. When you guys
Sure.
come out for maintenance, who is actually on site that's in charge? And is it a regular person who's always out here, or is it like just depends on what crew? How's that working? I know you guys have, we understand because we're all working professionals, so we all understand that there are issues with getting employees at this time.
Sure.
It's been a rough year, but so what's it look like as far as your crews coming out? Tell us how that works operationally.
Yeah, recently has been more consistent. Earlier in the year was not as consistent, and I think that's where we saw the issues. Biggest thing we can do to make sure that stays consistent is having that same crew leader, make sure they have a map. And that's the biggest thing for all of our properties. As long as they have a map and they have that checklist every day that says, I got the clubhouse, I got the entrance, I got the townhomes, now I got to get the common areas. And those common areas are the ones that are sometimes forgotten because you got the big stuff and then you pull out the drive and forget. There's 3 little areas that are very easy to do. It's just mow, blow, and go, but they're just forgotten. And those are the ones where people live all the way around there. So you get more focus almost there than you do the clubhouse. Because if you don't go to the clubhouse that week, you don't know what happened. So yeah, I'll just verify with the crew leader and the production manager that's over the crew that those common areas are getting hit every week. And you said Kilchurn is one of the big ones that keeps getting missed, right?
Yeah. Kilchurning down at the bottom of Caprington, those are pretty consistent because they are off from the regular areas. And the problem is you got the one next to board member's house. He sees it. He knows exactly what's on it. And then the other one, people drive by it and they notice it, but they're not on the board. So they don't really know if it's supposed to be getting mowed. Then they complain. And then we know, and we don't notice it because I don't think any of us live down that way. So that one gets missed because we just don't see it. So I guess the big thing, the good side of it is that you guys have a lot of positives that we're seeing. I definitely think there's improvement. Meg, did you think of anything else you wanted to bring up? Or I'm kind of
yeah.
Go ahead,
there's
then.
one more.
Go ahead.
So the natural area, that whole natural area behind Kilchurn and where Eric lives.
Right.
So you guys had an agreement made back in 2021, I guess February or March, and disagreement on what could and couldn't be done. Then the bill that was over 90 days past due. So you and Rob agreed, pay the bill, and then you said you would come back in and do something.
Correct. So what
the
bottom of the wall, everything down off the big slope. What I will do is get you like a 4-foot pass off the wall from wall to 4 feet all the way around the bottom. So it's a big loop. So you just do the whole big U shape, clear all that 4 feet. That way nothing's touching the wall. There's stuff that is halfway up the wall that you can't reach from the top and you can't reach from the bottom. Some of that little viney growth is just nothing we can do about it. Super unsafe for us to put a ladder down there at the bottom and have someone climb up to get that stuff, or vice versa, reach from top to bottom. So we're not going to do that. But What I will do is clear that bottom piece because we were, in disagreement / just misunderstanding of what was included in the scope and what wasn't. I know we had a price. I brought the price down to make sure we could do some of that work, especially on the top, because there was a ton of leaves, ton of trees, ton of trash. So we got the whole top cleared really nice. I think there's just confusion there at the bottom. So yeah, as long as that bill can get paid, then I'll send the crew back in to make sure we can get that bottom piece.
Wasn't it?
Okay, perfect.
Ashley, did that bill get paid?
It did. It did.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure because we spoke with Virginia, I spoke with Meg,
Yeah.
and I knew we had talked, and we were outside of board meetings, and we were right at the end of the year, so it's trying to get it done.
Was
I think
Also, was all the spraying completed? I know you were going to try to spray the areas y'all couldn't reach.
Correct. Yeah. So back in March, April, whenever that was, I'm sure there's stuff growing again now.
Sure.
I couldn't tell you, I couldn't really look at it now and say, oh, that was sprayed, that wasn't. But what we can do, like I said, now is clear that bottom piece from wall to 4 feet. That way there's access through there. And then as we approach next year, just know that needs to be part of the regular once a year cleanup, top and bottom included.
Okay. So Kate, when they do that, I think that would be good for one of us to literally be there, right after or right before you leave. So because that's good training
Absolutely.
for Kate, to be like, oh, because I'm new to this and I'm like, I don't know really what y'all are talking about. So
Sure. Well, I had
on
no
your
idea. I
feet
think
and go
Eric's
down
really
there.
the only one that knows a lot about it because it's in his backyard / woods. So yeah, definitely when we do this project, we'll walk and we'll see this is included, this is included. Check that box. That way it's done and out of the way.
Okay. Do you think
We definitely don't want to do it in the summer because it gets real nasty. There are snakes and whatever else could be back there. So I don't like sending the guys in there.
I told you there were snakes down there.
Oh, there's definitely snakes. There's a snake that
Justin-
went through my front porch today. It just went right across. Probably
thinking like October y'all get to that or?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's funny.
so. According to Ashley's records, that bill is paid July 29th. Justin, so if you can just follow up on that with your side of things, so you can be
I will.
like, hey, it is, and we can move forward.
Hey, Justin,
I think the only. Oh,
Hey,
go ahead, Eric.
It's not really as much as clearing that area. Obviously, we need to have a little bit of clearance so stuff doesn't grow onto it as much. But it was the fallen trees that were down from the top that were still leaning against the wall. That
Okay. So getting some of that stuff
just cut
off.
down and just leave there. Yeah, just to get them off of the wall.
Okay. Got it.
I think that's what I was going to say, kind of in a summary of the whole thing. And first of all, Justin, thank you for being here tonight. You would not, maybe you would believe, you wouldn't believe how hard it is to get somebody from a landscaping company to show up for a freaking online meeting, even. So a vendor of any sort. So thank you very much for taking the time to be here and answer questions and kind of face the nation, so to speak. As far as, we try to be pretty reasonable. As you can see, there's nobody who's retired and 95 years old, not to say anything bad against our retired 95 old folks, but there's nobody who's retired 95 years old on this board. It's all people who have jobs and we're busy all the time. And we're as reasonable as, hey man, did you cut the grass? Yeah. But we do have to make sure that we're doing what our membership needs. And
Absolutely.
You guys are doing a ton of positive things, and hopefully you take away a lot more good than bad. And the good thing is the only thing to fix the other stuff is very minor, little very achievable things. So I do appreciate the work you guys are doing out there. It's been
we love to get all these little easy things off the docket. That way people can just leave you guys alone and we can all do what we need to do. So.
Well, and I see it primarily, I wouldn't even, I'm quite honestly, I come and go from the neighborhood all the time, but I don't look around because I'm in a hurry. I got places to be, and I'm trying to make sure I'm only going about 20 miles per hour out of the neighborhood as it is, because I don't want anybody to scream and yell, that was Rob going over 20. So I don't pay attention to the grass cutting and everything, but what I can tell you is I see it in the form of the complaints. I don't hear the complaints on a regular basis. So from that side of things, I am very thankful for what US Lawns is doing, and I want that to be the takeaway.
Good.
Anything else from anybody else on the board? Reference anything with landscaping besides Kate? Did you introduce officially Kate? This is Justin. Justin, this is Kate. Did we get that?
Kate.
Hi.
Yeah, didn't do it.
He's the Almond Glen Townhouse person.
Yeah, she
Okay.
said
I
Almond Glen
assumed
Townhouse. Yeah,
Almond
committee.
Glen Townhome Committee. I'm sure that was her. So
She will
gotcha.
be added as of today.
Okay.
And I will be dropped as of today. Hallelujah. Thank you. I love you, Justin. I love you.
You're
But
fine.
So we'll still be in tune with what's going on as far as Virginia, Meg, and I, and Eric. We're all there, and I want to know what's going on with it because I need to know what's going on with it.
Right.
And I think the only caveat to the Kate only would be if I call you, Justin, and I say, hey man, Kate's out sick, and you tell me no, I can't help you. I'm like, no, stop, no. So we need like our safe word will be banana. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Gotta have a safe word here. But
Yeah,
generally
not gonna
speaking,
Getting a
your
no
primary,
from me, so.
your primary contact will be Kate. I won't supersede her and try to get in the way of anything she's doing. So,
And I will,
hopefully that'll help you.
if I'm vice president, I will not do.
Yeah,
I'll be
hopefully
like,
that'll help you.
help you.
Do you have any questions, concerns, needs, or anything you want to clarify with anybody on the board? Do you want to brag up some of the recent things you guys have done or anything? There are community members who are watching, listening. This is recorded. We'll play it for members later. So is there anything you want to kind of highlight on some of the work? This would be an opportunity for you to kind of shine a little bit of a light on the efforts you guys have made.
Sure. Yeah. No, the only thing that I was bringing to the table today was just some seasonal updates. So we're approaching aeration and feeding season, of course. And this is mainly for just the entrance areas out on Harrisburg Road, because all that stuff is fescue. Some of the townhome fescue areas and entrance of that, the rest of the community, as far as the clubhouse and the rest of the townhomes are Bermuda. So they won't go through any aeration or seeding process since they're Bermuda. But the Harrisburg Road frontage and then the townhome frontage as well, and the few buildings that are fescue will be aerated and seeded. Starting that process, the first step is killing turf weeds. So come in with a cleanup spray to kill all that stuff, crabgrass, nutsedge, all that type of thing. And then aeration and seeding would be probably late September, early October when the temperatures get down. At that point, also flowers are changed out again in October. And then it sounds like we're going to shoot for pine straw around Christmas.
As far as, and I'm glad you brought it up, it was a perfect opportunity to kind of throw it. We get a lot of questions about aeration and seeding. And usually I think the reason we get confusion is because of our Bermuda areas of the neighborhood, which for anybody who's confused about Bermuda and fescue, just wait, you'll have Bermuda. It's only a matter of time.
We'd love to keep pushing it so that we don't have to aerate and seed. It'll save you guys money and it'll save us time and effort. So we'd love for it to put.
So kind of in an abbreviated, not as smart as you are on this kind of way, can you kind of give people an idea of like why do you do fescue with aeration and seeding and not Bermuda, and just kind of like the most layman's terms for it, because I know you know a lot about it. So if you just want to kind of
Sure. The most easy, basic way I could put it is fescue grass is an annual grass. So it's an individual plant. So it's one piece of grass, and you got to plant a bunch of those to fill in the yard. It's annual. So you see it right now struggling in the summer. It's a cool season turf. So it grows October, November, December. It thrives all the way through May. Maybe we can make it thrive through June with some irrigation. And then once we get to these 95-degree temperatures, it starts to die. And it's annual. So it's one plant and then it dies. It will kind of go dormant. So it looks dead right now. It may survive and come back to life in the fall when the temperatures drop and we start fertilizing again. But some of those plants do die off. So we have to aerate and seed and replant that grass every season. Bermuda, on the other hand, is a perennial grass. So it stays alive. It just goes dormant in the winter. It grows like a weed across the ground, and then it shoots up new plants all across. So if we fertilize it and promote it, it'll keep spreading and keep growing without having to
overview that for folks. And I like to kind of highlight on things. And I apologize, I didn't really formally introduce you. You are Justin Morgan with U.S. Lawns. What is your position with U.S.
I'm your
Lawns?
account manager.
And I'm guessing high school education, no education outside of that, right? You just kind of started mowing grass,
it was
right?
that easy. And it can be that easy for some people, but no, I actually studied horticulture. So that's plant science at NC State for 4 years, focused in landscape design, which is kind of how I got into the account manager stuff, because you can put proposals together and do landscape design stuff and talk about what shrubs go where and that type of thing. So Yeah, been doing it for about 7 years now.
Cool.
And obviously, I say that a little bit facetiously because I have yet to meet somebody who works in landscaping who just mows grass.
Sure.
So I wanted to kind of give you an opportunity to highlight that. Hey, he knows what he's talking about, folks.
Yeah.
So
No, there are people out there. It doesn't take too much to start your own company. You need a mower and be able to cut straight lines and cut evenly, and you can mow, blow, and go for a certain amount of money. So
You do
that sounds way easier than we've found it to be.
yes, and I'm sure you found those companies in the past, and it doesn't work out very long for HOAs and commercial style work. So,
all right. Final kind of throw out there for anybody on the board. Any questions or anything? We're at 7:05, and I don't want to drag this out too much longer. So, go ahead.
I do have. I have a question about the yards that don't have Bermuda but had Bermuda before. So a lot of like the front yards on Caprington, because of the trees, it's all shady. And I understand that Bermuda grass probably will not grow there. But can we put pine straw over the entire front yards there, or plant fescue, or do something with those lawns so that they're not just dirt and roots from trees?
sure. Definitely need to look at some of those because the Bermuda is not going to survive under those trees. Once you get into the townhomes, none of that's really irrigated either. So you're trying to get Bermuda to grow in shade and compete with the tree roots, and it's just not going to happen. Even the fescue is going to struggle competing with those tree roots. So the best option is to either we plant some plants under the trees and do all pine straw, or we just go completely pine straw. The long-term big option, if you want grass, of course, is to look at a tree replacement plan and start taking trees out and replanting grass and opening up that sunlight and area for rain and stuff for the grass. But that's a big long-term plan. Of course, the immediate is absolutely either cover it with pine straw and eliminate grass, or put some plants in there to make it, aesthetically pleasing as well for the homeowner.
Yeah, it's so rooty. I don't think you could find dirt.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be tough to plant. You'd have to bring in some soil. You'd have to do some rooting and get some roots out of the way. There's a proper way to do it. And I think, Kate, if we want to take a look and walk together and see, maybe there's 5 units we start with and say, hey, these are priority. These are homeowners that really want something different or really have just nothing going on but dirt. We need to do something for them. I think we start with that and just chip away and get a budget, say, X amount per unit, and we can afford 3 units this year, and we'll do 3 every year until we get everyone cleaned up.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're free to do a walkthrough, because I think that would be very beneficial.
Okay. The only thing I would need from either you and Rob or Meg or Virginia, you could share my contact info, or just someone email me Kate's and we can connect.
Okay.
We'll do that offline so that we're not recording and putting that out.
Yeah.
And I would definitely recommend, Kate. I know this first year being on the board. So as far as budget stuff, we start talking about budget stuff almost immediately because we try to cut the budget and get it out there by November so that people know if there's going to be an increase or what's going on with their dues. So by September, we're starting to put hard numbers in place. So yeah, you definitely want to get on that sooner than later. So we'll get that information shared.
And knowing that, I'll also share prices for next year as far as is pine straw going to change, is flowers going to change, that type of thing. I'll start talking to everybody else and get that stuff over to you so you can start plugging in our numbers in the budget as well.
Cool. Okay. Anything else for Justin before we let him jump out of here and go do whatever he would like to do instead of be here talking about landscaping?
This is Eric. We have 4,000 left for miscellaneous landscaping expenses. So whatever you guys want to, it's gonna be shrubs or something else.
Oh no! Don't tell her.
Virginia, before you leave, you sure don't want to spend about $3,000 for that? Got one last.
No, I'm out. I'm tapping out.
I think that's good for Kate. That means you have a lot that you can do when you do your walk around.
I'm passing the torch, baby. Spend it.
Oh, I can spend it. Trust me.
I don't think anybody has ever come into the board and had $4,000 available to them. So there you go. See why I say the budget guy is the most important guy.
Yeah, right, because Rob always steals from somebody.
Okay, hey, say, when we walked around a while back, there's a whole section behind the townhouses that are natural areas that's got nothing but dead limbs, dead gross trees. and it has been a spot area that's been overlooked for what looks like forever. And so just remember, you were like, yeah, we got to clean this up. So
Yeah.
if I
Before
were
we
in a
spend money on it,
townhouse, I would be
like to,
yeah.
before we spend money on it, I would like to do, I think we talked about this when we were there. I'd like to clean it up this winter whenever we're not mowing and we have time to spend on it. See what we can do for free, not for free, but for our weekly allotted time first. And then
Sure.
if there's things we do need to do, hey, we need to dig this root up or replant some stuff, then we can talk about spending money on it.
A lot of dead
Let
trees.
us do what
back
we can
there.
do first this winter, this fall and winter. We're cleaning up leaves and pruning and doing tree stuff. While we're not mowing, we can spend that time working back there, getting some of those dead trees limbed up or out, and giving those, because some of their backyards are literally just tree branches and large overgrown shrubs right in their
And
back.
everyone has just shoved dead stuff, and it's terrible looking.
Right. So we'll do cleanup of that included in the contract this fall, and then look 2022 if we need to do some plantings or other stuff, then we'll look to spend money on it if we need to.
Okay. Thank you, y'all.
Okay.
Thanks, Justin.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Good partnership, and we look to continue doing it. So
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
see you guys.
Bye.
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 Okay, so any other, our primary things tonight were landscaping and getting the officers taken care of. Is there any other pressing matters from the board that you want to discuss?
I have a question real quick. A couple of neighbors have asked me this. I feel like when we first moved here, we had more people go, I don't know if AMG does this. I never really knew who did it. Goes around and assesses the yards and the siding and the
architectural stuff. So architectural stuff.
How often is that done?
That's a good question, and let me speak on that a little bit, and then we can always engage Ashley in this too. So, Ashley, do you remember off the top of my head, because we were on a different contract, because I still haven't signed a new contract with AMG because there's no reason for me to. Do you remember off the top of your head how many times AMG is contracted to come through if we want to? I don't remember if we even have a number set. I have to look.
I am gonna have to look. So if you just give me a couple of minutes, I'll see what I can pull up. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to dig,
We don't
if you
have a
want to look at
number.
that.
We just pay them out of a la carte.
We pay an a la carte amount, right? I could have sworn we paid an a la carte amount, and it was an amount that I remember Danielle was like, "How did this get in the contract?" When she was talking to JC back in the day, and it was like because Rob was better at negotiating than
Thanksgiving
were.
letters.
What's that?
It won't be that amount anymore with all the Thanksgiving letters they sneak in.
All the games they play, the silly games. Yeah. So
It was not
the way
Rob in Virginia walking around putting letters out. It's not
so
your
we used to the way it's worked over the years.
It was
we've had-
Eric. And then
Yeah,
we
Eric-
wanted to find anybody. Never
So
won
if
again.
No, that wasn't me.
So there's a couple ways it gets done, and I'll roll back historically. Historically, there were a couple ways. Rob did it. I think I might even still have some door hangers, but Rob did it in the past. Other board members have helped out with it in the past. At times, we had Tim come out from AMG, and we rolled around together. We've had AMG come out by themselves. We kind of have a mixed bag of ways we've done it over the years. Because of my background and my law enforcement experience, what I've found over the years is, generally speaking, if you set forth a bunch of rules and you say these are the rules you must follow, most adults will just follow the rules. That's why you don't have everybody speeding down the interstate and getting into a big crash. So that's kind of been the way we've kind of operated over the years, because I understand that everybody hates an overbearing HOA. On the flip side, though, we have people who just want to do what they want to do, and then we also have people who occasionally make mistakes and do what they want to do. So there's like this mixed bag. So it really depends on how heavy-handed the board wants to be. Every board kind of adjusts how they feel about it. We've had boards that were more aggressive about, we really want to come down on things around the neighborhood that aren't being done. We've had boards that were kind of backed off on it. I think the primary things that really get people stoked up and we get complaints about are parking issues, which we have no control over on the street. Issues with people parking boats and RVs in the neighborhood. And I'm not talking about the person who reaches out and says, my parents are coming into town in an RV and I just had a baby. Can they park at the pool or can they park at those we always try to work with because we're people and we try to be a very human board. No board has ever once said, Rob, I want you to always enforce the rules with an iron fist. No board has ever said that. So I don't expect that to happen. But I also understand that there's people in the neighborhood who are like, well, this particular thing is seriously impacting me and I want something done about it. So we kind of have to float in that happy mix. Pressure washing, we try to really stay on that. I think pressure washing should be inspected and done 2 times a year. People who don't mow their grass on such a regular basis that their neighbor starts to notice it and it irritates them to the point where they reach out to us. If you have a bunch of dead flower plants out or whatever in front of your yard, or you've got a bunch of junk in front of your house, those things usually draw the ire of your neighbors. And if the board was like, hey, we definitely want to focus harder in 2021, 2022, we really want to focus on making people understand you have to try to be a good neighbor and take care of the outside of your home. I would highly support that. And we can do that through AMG coming around and doing inspections for us that we pay for, or we can do it through inspections that we do ourselves. We do have the ability to create an architectural committee, which we had in the past. An architectural committee is people from the neighborhood who are like, I want to go around and tell people to mow their grass, and I want to go around and tell people to clean their junk up, and I want to tell people to make their house look nice, and I'm willing to spend my time going around the neighborhood. So if we reformed an architectural committee that did that on a pretty regular basis, we can do that, and we can empower them to give us a list of people who have violated, and then we take that list as a board and we do it. Make this. Hang on. Is my sound still on because my headphones died? Yes, no, yes.
No, we can hear you.
Okay, we'll make sure because it got quiet on me. So if we want to have people come around and do that, it's called an architectural committee specifically in our bylaws. So we could call it a covenant committee if you wanted, but it's an architectural committee in our bylaws and they would enforce the covenants. But yeah, if we want to do that, I think that's always been effective when we had people who are passionate about it, but not to the point where they want to just pick on their neighbors because I don't like my one neighbor next to me who doesn't mow his grass. So
I walk around a majority of the neighborhood and there's a few places that need to be reined in. And I agree. I think it's time. I feel like last year was a grace year because everyone was struggling. So I think that was fine, but I think we need to gently get back into that. Because there are people that talk to me and they don't like how some of the houses are looking. And I agree. But what I think rubbed people the wrong way is all of a sudden they get this official letter that was I know the last time we got one, it kind of startled you because it was very official and it was very and it was kind of, what frustrated us is it said we needed to do all these repairs, but we didn't know what the repairs needed to be done. It was very vague. So I would suggest, I would like it if almost like the neighbors went around, your committee went around in a very friendly way, kept a couple, issued a few of these. And if nothing happens, then you get the AMG letter,
So what I would, what I think would be based upon my experience dealing with the neighborhood and if I pull you over and I tell you, hey, you rolled through a stop sign back there, just going to give you a warning. You're still going to be mad that cop pulled you over. So there's no happy way to do it. I can tell you from experience. I've done it the nicest ways it can be done. People are going to be mad at you. However, what you could do is we could start off with like a postcard mailer that goes out to everybody in the community and says, hey, everybody, it's important to keep your home looking nice, be a good neighbor. And you list off like your primary concerns. You pick some things that you're like, these are the major things I see throughout the neighborhood on my walks that really are a problem. Pressure washing, mowing grass, pick out like 5 things. Please ensure you take care of these things. And you kind of just give people a heads up so that it's not such a surprise. And then you can come by. I might still have the door hangers. You could come by with the door hangers, which you can drop off and put on people's doors. They've got like a tear off that you can leave. If I still got them, I think I still got them. Or something like that, where you're just kind of giving people a heads up, like, hey, I noticed your house needs some work. And you can kind of start to whip people into shape. I think that would be a good thing, because there's people who, the reason they're not doing it is not because they want to thumb their nose at authority or anything. They just, I'm busy and I got a lot going on and nobody's yelling at me about my yard, so I'll skip it this week. So I think it's a good idea. And honestly, Meg, it sounds like something that you're passionate about and could be the person who, even if you don't run that, if you didn't do all that, maybe you could try to find some other people in the neighborhood who are passionate about it. And then between AMG services and maybe you and a couple people, you could kind of focus on that as a thing.
No, I am passionate. I mean, I didn't want to repair my fence, but it needed to be repaired. So it's like, I get both sides, but I also know you don't want your neighborhood to start getting slack, because it totally affects your value. And that's what I don't want to see.
There it is.
So
would you be willing to kind of take that on as a project this year, then make that kind of your thing that you focus on, is trying to find ways to get people, because honestly, you got a sweet Southern way about you, Meg. If anybody is going to be able to get people to feel comfortable about, you know what, I do need to clean my yard up, I quite honestly feel like you could do it. So if that's something you're interested in, I think that would be an excellent thing for you to kind of take on.
A few people, because most everyone around me is very liberal on the don't tell me what to do with my yard side.
Especially your backyard neighbor.
Everybody. So it's like, you need like the voice and the, I mean, I don't care who's watching, but no, you need the liberal and then the
We're recording, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I think you could use that. You could use that initial mailer that comes from AMG as like, hey, here's a reminder. Here's some things that we want to make your neighborhood better. You want to make the neighborhood better. We know you want to be a good neighbor. Do these things. Sure. And then you come
blah 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 blah.
Yep. Give them a note, like, on this date we're planning to come around. The week of this week we're going to plan to come around and just take a look at the neighborhood. And you give people an opportunity to go, oh gosh, they're going to, because I can tell you, back in the past, I used to literally go around and knock on people's doors, and they would answer and be like, hey, I'm Rob. I live in the neighborhood. I'm your president of your association. Here's a flyer. Did you know that you're behind on your dues by $200? And at one point, somebody contacted our management company and said, hey, I just want to make sure I'm all up to date and everything. I don't want Rob coming to my house and bothering me about it. And it was like, it was kind of a joke. It was like, ha, ha, ha. But for real, I want to pay this because I don't want to have a knock at the door. It's a very awkward thing to have one of your neighbors. And I didn't like doing it, but I wanted to know why. It was like, what? I'm not there to make you pay the money. Like, why are you not able to pay the money? So we get to the same thing with the neighborhood. You notice a neighbor who consistently doesn't mow their grass, and it goes for weeks and weeks and weeks. And you go knock on the door and you're like, hey, so we notice your grass doesn't get mowed. You got notices. I feel bad. Is there something we can do to help? And they go, the reason I don't mow it is because my nephew mows it for me because I'm disabled. And he can only come over once a month. And then we go, oh, and then we get a couple people who go help mow grass. So, I think there's approaches to it. Not everybody's not mowing their grass because they don't want to, or not pressure washing their home because they don't care to. Maybe they think they have to actually hire a pressure washer, and they don't know they can go get some of that spray and spray on the house, and they'll make their house look a million times better. Yeah. So I think it's definitely something people in the neighborhood would be behind until they get their own notice, but then they'll still want their other neighbor to clean up. So I think it takes a little bit of push and pull.
And then they call Rob and say, my house doesn't need pressure wash because this house needs pressure wash. Nope, all your houses need pressure wash.
And then I show up with a Clorox wipe and clean their siding off, and they're mad at me for it. But
So if I design a card and I get the cards printed,
AMG can handle that for you. You can just tell Ashley what you want the postcard to say, and she can do a postcard mailer for you.
Well, sweet. Okay, yeah. I like the idea of that, like fall's coming.
The only thing you're going to run into is, because I did the last ones before COVID, is people will generally comply and then send in their stuff that they complied. You'll get probably 10% that won't, and then you'll get probably 5% that are going to fight you. So unless there's going to be some enforcement arm, that's why I just stopped doing it once we hit COVID, because we got to the point where some people weren't doing it, and the board voted that even though we told them we're going to find them, we're not going to find them. So I was like, well, why the hell am I spending all this time going around if we're not actually going to enforce the fines? So unless you have a board that's actually going to do some enforcement measure, I don't know what the point of going around is.
You can work with Ashley to come up with, we've talked about fine schedules over the years, and you can contact Ashley and be like, hey, Ashley, what do you think? Fine schedules. She's given me examples over the years. We've talked about them, what we could do, methods you can use. There's stuff you have to pay attention to within the bylaws and the covenants. We can talk about that offline, but it's just a project that needs somebody who's like, you know what, I'm going to make this my thing. And like I said, if it's one of those things where you're like, I don't really have the time to dedicate full on to it, but I know two people in the neighborhood who are passionate about it, who have the time, and you can help coordinate them, it can make a real difference. And I think in general, there are probably a lot of people who will watch this video later, who are watching right now, who are going to be like cheering, like, yes, please do something about boats in the neighborhood and cars that haven't been moved in forever that have issues, and siding that's fallen apart. Those things are real issues to people. So yeah, I think you'd have the support.
Okay, cool. Well,
Awesome.
I'll definitely get working on the postcard though, and just, encourage.
Well, you got Ashley's contact information. Look, Ashley, I'm giving people all kinds of stuff for you this year.
I know, you're awesome.
All right. Anything else before we hop off? It's gone to 7:30. I meant to go to 7. I'm sorry, guys.
Am I still doing architect approval?
Yeah, for now, I think you're kind of stuck with it. Just because, there really hasn't been much to it at this point. There's been nothing major. Anything big, you just keep coming back to the board with it.
Okay.
You and I have been looking at those together. And in general, for you guys, so you just wonder what's happening with that, Ashley sends over a fence approval, and she's like, hey, here's a fence that needs to be approved. What do you guys think? And I look at it, and I'm like, unless Virginia disagrees, go ahead and sign off on this. And Virginia looks at it, and it's kind of the way it's been going, unless otherwise directed. They call it unidir in the Army. Unless otherwise directed, proceed as follows. By 5 p.m., send out a letter. I like the puppy dog.
What's happening?
I have a thing.
Yeah.
Question. Okay, so the trees along Cappington are getting way too big, and they're way too close together, just like the landscaper had mentioned. I was wondering, can we remove some of those trees, like every other tree, and top the crepe myrtles so that they stay small? Because right now they're all over the place, and the trees are way too big, and there's way too much shade.
The first thing you have to do is check with the county to make sure there's nothing that says you can't remove a whole bunch of trees, because there's a lot of ordinances out there that go along with tree removal that say if you remove a tree, you got to replace a tree, because of tree people. The second thing you have to do.
We don't care about that.
What's that?
We don't care about trees in your yard. When someone asks me, I don't know if there's a thing in the town halls, but they didn't care about single family homes.
Yeah, I know in general they didn't care about it. You definitely want to double check with the county. The second thing you need to do is you need to knock on the door of the person whose tree you're going to take and say, hey, is it cool if I take your tree? Some people might say yes. Other people might try to kill you on the porch because you're going to kill their beautiful tree. So yeah,
and that would be me. I would kill you. I'd take you down right there.
Me, I'm happy to tie a rope to a big tree.
2 trees in their front yard,
Don't be messing with my tree.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to remember, there's going to be a Lorax for every, and that's you're gonna find out that the neighbor doesn't care if you remove his tree, and you're going to next door and talk to the next neighbor, and they're going to say, hey, hold on, wait a minute, you can't kill trees. What are you doing to trees? So there are some Lorax out there who are going to be really mad if you want to kill trees. Once you've established those two things, and you're like, okay, cool, I can now take orange spray paint and spray some trees and say these are the trees I want to remove. Then you got to look at how much money it is to remove those huge silver maples that are out there, and they're beautiful and they're big and they're expensive to remove. So topping the trees, we've done that several times where we come through and clean them. And U.S. Lawns, as part of their contract, trims them up, which is why all of a sudden you walk outside and you're like, oh, I don't walk through tree limbs anymore. The maples you cannot top because it will kill them. so they don't top those. The other ones, say the name again.
Crepe myrtle.
Crepe myrtle. Thank you. My brain went out. The crepe myrtles. The way I told our last tree trimming company we used, which we used a company specifically for that, they did a great job. I said, if you pull into the neighborhood, I want my wife to go, oh, look, they did something to the trees. And I want to be like surprised because I didn't even notice, because, guys never notice the haircut, women do. So I wanted my wife to notice that the trees have been trimmed, but me not. And that's kind of the way they did it. They trimmed them up real tight. They looked beautiful and good, but if you didn't pay attention, you didn't even notice them. So it didn't look ridiculous. So we can have a company come in. That's just part of, just like pressure washing the townhomes where I've got calls from the company that does that. We got AAA trees. That's who handled our tree trimming the last time. But if you're wanting to remove trees, that's going to get expensive fast. So that might be a 10-year project when you look at the total budget of it.
Yeah, you might can, and that's like you said, that'd be a project. You might can move to 1 year to the next year to, what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like
you might
that.
pick some of the biggest.
And then you're gonna have to. You probably when they remove them, they have to cut down because the roots are probably somewhere up under somebody's plumbing.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking about removing them, because we've had a lot of issues with the county having to come down and bust sidewalks. So I was like, if we trim them while they're small, it'll be a lot cheaper than if we wait till they're too big, and then it just costs more money.
Right.
Yeah, that's it, and it has. You're gonna see a lot more of the finances now that you're on the board. You're gonna be looking directly at financial numbers when we talk about stuff. You're gonna see the amount of money that's spent on plumbing fixes where things have been damaged. We don't pay for all that stuff like you'd think, but there's damages that we pay for at times. There's stuff that we get pulled into. There's a lot of people who have to spend a lot of money to fix their plumbing because of those trees. So it might be an easy thing. You might go through there and find out that there's people who are like, please take my tree too. And hey, cut them down and do what you got to do. But we have to figure that out. So yeah, that's something you can look into. But that's the project. And based upon how you handled the striping project throughout the neighborhood, you have my full confidence you can accomplish anything that you want to get done, because I don't know how you got that done. Kudos all over the place.
Thank you.
I actually parked in one of those visitors parking when I went over there to look behind the gates.
Anything else from the board? Ashley, are there any pressing issues for the board that I've neglected or forgotten? I know we communicate quite a bit. I guess we'll still be talking some more for the next year.
Lucky you.
Didn't you say, Rob, that you had something about the pool that you wanted to talk about?
Nothing major. I was just saying I want to kind of focus on the pool. I know what I'm going to watch with the pool is I'm going to watch how much we use the pool as the end of the year comes around. I know from a perspective of the neighborhood, a lot of people wish the pool had opened earlier. We've tried it over the years a bunch of different ways. One of the things I have to do is I have to get with the pool company. Something that I hope that people are taking into account with the pool is that, like right now, we have exactly one person who is able to work and be employed by our pool company who will actually work at our pool and take care of it. We had to actually get one guy fired because he was out of control, which from now on, if anybody notices pool people sleeping and stuff, let me know. But it was really bad, and Meg brought it to my attention. Thank you, Meg, for doing that. But it was way too late. Well, and if there's stuff going on with the pool company, we need to get a hold of them. But the pool company has had the exact same issues everybody else has. You can't find anybody to work, and you would think you could find kids who want jobs and stuff. And I'm going to talk to the pool company going into this next year and be like, can you just hire somebody from our neighborhood? Maybe we can find some neighbors here. Because normally what happens is if you want to work. Yeah, normally if you want to work for the pool company, they have a sign up there, I think right now, that says, hey, we're hiring people. If you go to work for them, typically they work outside the neighborhood. And I got a call earlier this year where our pool manager said, Rob, I have somebody in your neighborhood who wants to work for us, but because of restrictions and stuff, they want to work at your pool. We don't normally do that. Is that okay with you? And I'm like, yes. So maybe they can hire a couple people who live here in the neighborhood and want to take care of the pool. And we can come up with a very specific, here's exactly what we need from you schedule or something. So that we can have somebody right here in the neighborhood who's like, can go up there and take care of it. I don't know, but I'm going to talk with a pool company, and I want to try to find a happy medium where we can open the pool as early as people would like, close the pool when people would like, have it open as long as they would like, and make sure we keep improving things. We got a lot done with the chairs this last year. I'm going to ask the board to help me do some more this year with the chairs. And I think there's been multiple questions about putting some sort of opaque material across the top of the pergola. Yep. So to get a little more shade over there, I like to talk about doing that. So, and then I'd also like to talk about, as far as social stuff goes, the board of directors cannot have a budget specifically from our budget to cover social expenses. However, there's two things we can do. We can play around with any fines and fees money we've got, because that's not dues. We can use that kind of however we want. So we can look at how much money we collected this last year and say, well, we're going to spend that next year. So we can play with that a little bit. And our other thing we can do is we can own stuff. So we can own a projector and a screen, which can be used for movie nights if the community wants to put them on. And we can own equipment for things like that. So we can own things which can be used for social events. And then our volunteers out here, our group that has formed their social committee, that they've been doing all these events and stuff for, and they're planning their back to school thing coming up. Dang, I want to say the date and I can't remember exactly what it is. I don't want to give a bad date. I don't know if Tina or anybody from the social committee is on right now. If you are, feel free to unmute and yell.
Okay.
But I won't. I got to verify that date, so I don't want to throw it out there without verifying it. But they're putting together like a back to school event, and there's tables we need and stuff like that. That we own a couple tables. We could buy another table or two. So I'd like to talk to the board going in next year about, hey, let's own some more of this stuff that people need, so that if they would like to put on those social events, they can. So I think that's reasonable. So that'll be my pitch to the board next year. Other than that, I got nothing for tonight. I'm sorry again we went so long, 7:36. So anything else from the board?
No.
Eric's like, God no. All right. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for watching what we're talking about here. Hopefully you hear some positive stuff. If you would like to speak at a future board meeting, generally speaking, I open it up to the floor if we have time for it. If you'd like to speak to us during a board meeting and have some comments or something like that, please email us in the future or in advance and say, hey, I'd like to speak at the next board meeting. Let me know when it is. You can also just email us questions and thoughts at almondglenhoa@gmail.com. And from there, we can comment and stuff like that. And we can talk about your specific issues if you don't want to speak. I put this on YouTube. You can comment on YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.